So, some good news.
Yeah.
Checking the Podbean stats.
Oh yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street has had 8 views already, and that's less than a week.
Oh wow. Well, that's
And
good.
that's good for us. Like, we barely hit double figures, but it is what it is. You know,
That's
very new.
cool. Oh.
Freddy vs. Jason is a little bit lower, but yeah, the fact that Nightmare on Elm Street has only been out 4 days,
Yes.
Sunday.
Yeah, 4 days.
I'm very happy with that.
That's
Very
really
happy with
good.
that. For 8 views, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
I wonder if I can just quickly see the. So our highest viewed one is the first one, Scream 5 at 23 views.
It's because we did that
listens.
just after the film came out.
Yeah, that was 23 downloads. Sorry, they're not views, 23 downloads.
Downloads.
So downloads.
Ah.
I guess that kind of counts as clicking it
A
on
view.
Spotify or anything rather than downloading
Yeah.
it. But the first, so Scream 1 to 4 franchise, Ghostface vs Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw, and top 5 countdowns are all above 10 views each.
Oh,
10
nice.
counts each. So where to start with the horror movie genre has 17. That was a good
Ooh.
one.
That's a good one.
And then the next best one is A Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, they're quite consistent, to be fair. Like, but for the small podcast we are, it's better than
pretty good.
0. If it was like 0, 0, 1, then maybe 2, then
Yeah.
0, 0, like, we'd be thinking, right, we've got to do something.
Mm.
We're not reaching not even anyone right now.
Yeah, it's
So,
one of those things like something has to change.
something does, yeah. But I think, no, a little bit of consistency right now. We're doing well. We're doing well. And I am very excited for
Oh, I
today's
am as
film.
well.
I'm not even going to do any preamble, because we're talking about Slumber... Sorry.
Yes.
One thing
Duh.
Welcome back to the Dreadcast, folks. This is episode
Hello.
16. We're talking about the Slumber Party
Yes.
Massacre. First thing, before I'm going to interrupt you right now,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't realise there was a "the" in the title.
See, that's interesting because I almost messaged you
Yeah.
when because I've only seen the film just before I finished it probably about 20 minutes ago.
But you
'cause I've
had
been
seen
meaning
it
to get
before,
around to it.
right?
I have seen it before,
You
but
had,
it was
yes, good, good.
long ago I'd
Yeah.
seen it. So I kind of knew roughly what occurred in it, but then it was again, it's all the smaller bits that I missed that I now catch that I quite like catching. And I almost text you because I went on Shudder.
Yeah.
And I typed in Slumber Party Massacre,
Yeah.
and it brought 2 of them up. And I looked at it going, which one is it? And I sat there going, oh, if I watch one of them and then we get to the film and it's like, so the film starts in 2022, and it's like, no, it's 1982. It's like,
Yes.
we've watched the wrong film. No, no.
Yes. Yeah, that kind of got swept under the rug. The new.
Yeah,
It was a film, was it? It wasn't a TV series.
It was a film.
Yeah.
It was a reimagining of the 1982 version.
That was it.
As if it was set in 2022 or something. Actually, it came out this year then, didn't it?
Yeah, because there's been a couple of things that have been quite very quietly released, and have failed miserably in the horror world, as far as like remakes, which I couldn't remember if Slumber Party Massacre was a TV series or film. And the night
Last year.
I Know What You Did Last Summer got remade as a TV series, so I was getting the two confused there, and that failed miserably. But yeah, the original Slumber Party, the Slumber Party Massacre. This is one of my favourite slashers. This is one of the most, in my opinion, the most underrated slashers of the 80s. If
It
you've never seen
definitely is.
it's non-stop. It's so good.
It's really good, and it's interesting because it was designed to actually be a farce of slashers.
Mm.
When I can't remember who wrote it, I will get all the details. Written by Rita Mae Brown. There we go. It was designed to be a parody of the slasher films at the time.
Mm.
But when they came to make it, they went, you know what? Let's actually make it as a slasher film, but we'll leave in all the humor. So that's why it's sort of a horror comedy in a way. There are some really goofy moments in this film, which are quite funny. I must admit, I have countless notes of just such daft things that happen in this film.
There are. I personally didn't find them the comedic moments made for comedic purposes. They were, like you said, a bit goofy moments that made you feel a bit. Oh, that was a bit
I found
dumb.
them funny because of the cheese that they provided. The cheese factor was high.
Rather than the script was written with intentional comedic like parts in it, like a horror comedy. It wasn't like that, but there are comedic parts to it that are kind of subtle.
I think the main one is, if you look at the poster for the Slumber Party Massacre, it's clearly very obvious that it's just a huge dick joke.
And
when you look at it,
that is a great shot in the film, which
it is.
Right, we're getting excited.
Oh, good.
Right, I'm Tom. This is T. This is Dreadcast.
Hello.
This is episode 16. This is the Slumber Party Massacre. We're just going to get straight into it because it's an amazing film. Your phallic shot. The poster you mentioned, that is a great shot. It's one of my favourite shots in the film. It's not my favourite shot, but it's one of my favourite shots. I think we may have the same favourite shot. I'd like to hope we do. The favourite scene.
I think it is. Yeah, I believe it is that. I took a note on that particular scene,
but
just because you would never see that in a slasher film.
No.
Other than the Slumber Party Massacre.
So, quick, we're not like the other films. We're not going to go through the whole synopsis throughout the whole film, but it's very simple. It is. This film doesn't waste any time. It is as straightforward as a mass murderer has escaped prison.
Yep. He's murdered.
That's about
people. It is pretty much. And what I liked about this is they don't usually in horror films, especially with the slashers of the time, they would build up to revealing who it was.
So with
Freddy Krueger, you know who it is, but they were very coy with not showing his face too much. Michael Myers, you know who he is, but you never see his face. Same with Jason Voorhees, you know who he is, you never see his face. This film, they're just like, it's this dude, he's killed a load of people, he's escaped, there's his face, there's your killer, off we go.
His name's Russ Thorne. You see it in the paper. You see it in the paper right at the beginning. So within like the first 5 minutes, you know his name. You see his face. He's already at the school, the school in question, where we meet our young girls, which I'll get to in a minute, about quote unquote young girls.
Yes, they're not teenagers.
Oh my god, this film has the big case of these women are late 20s playing teenagers. And it's so obvious.
There was what I found that was very amusing was it's when Trish is our final. I don't know. She's not really. Yeah, one of the final girls I would say in this film.
Trish is one of the final. Yeah,
and it's when she's talking to her. It's when her mum calls her and she goes, "Are you ready yet?" She's like, "Yes, mum." And you're looking at her going, "You're in your mid-20s.
Yep.
It's so obvious you're not a teenager."
Yeah, and they all are. They're all like that. So the main group of girls that are having a slumber party, I think there's three of them. One of them isn't invited. There's a little.
I think there's four of them actually.
Sorry, you're right. There are four.
Yeah, there's 4.
1, 2, 3. Yes.
So you've got Jackie, Trish, Diane,
and Kim, I believe. Is it Kim?
Kim, yes, Kim.
Yes, and
like
another girl / woman who wasn't invited. She is currently looking after her younger sister, Courtney, who is a horrible actress. I thought, out of the bunch, she wasn't great. And it is as simple as we said. This mass murderer has escaped from prison. Mr. Russ Thorne. There is a slumber party happening, and he goes on a rampage. That's literally
he crashes the party.
Yeah,
that's pretty much like you said, the film in a nutshell, and it's great because you go into this film. I mean, there's even no intro scene to this film. No. I thought there was. The film loads up, and it's got this great sort of creepy synth music going on, and it literally just says, "The Slumber Party Massacre, here we go, let's go." I did like the fact that when you hear the intro, it's got that grainy, what was it? Cinemas back in the day, when it was on the projectors, and if dirt got in them, you'd hear that that crunchy
Yeah, the
noise,
scratching, crackling
the
sound from the
scratching
projector.
noise.
Yeah.
I will get onto audio in a minute because there was a bit that I noticed throughout this film that I didn't notice the first time, and it did bug me a little bit. But I think that's just a sign of the times. But it was so nice to hear that grainy noise because it
Yeah.
made me feel like, I mean, I wasn't alive in the 80s, but to anyone who was, they'd be like, "Oh, I remember that sound. This is such a nice little nostalgia trip for you there." It's also not a long film. I noticed
Nope.
this. I counted the film. It's only an hour and 13. It's shorter than Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and that goes hand in hand with the fact it doesn't waste any time.
No.
You get your first kill in the first 5 minutes. Our killer ends up at the school. You don't know why.
Yeah.
You don't. He just ends up there. I don't know if it's a student or if it's a young girl who's friends with the students. She's doing some sort of electrical.
The
work.
repair.
Yeah,
She's
repair.
the phone repair woman.
That's it. And
I think that's actually
she bites it. She gets it. She gets killed by our killer in question in the back of this repair van, which is where he finds his lovely weapon of choice. Which back then, cordless tools must have been quite a rare thing to find.
Oh yeah, they would have been super expensive as well.
And super expensive. Yeah, this cordless. It's not a pneumatic drill. It's an industrial power drill. Probably for going through like cinder blocks, like through actual girder walls.
Yeah, it's a heavy duty piece of kit.
Yeah, it's what our electrical repair people would use to maybe feed cables through walls, and that's what he uses to kill his first victim. And I don't know if he takes the clothes as well, because I think she was wearing denim, double denim, and he ends up wearing double denim.
He's wearing.
Is he wearing
in that shot in particular? He's wearing it, I believe, at the same time.
Yeah, right.
I did notice that was my thought. It was like there's a. To be fair, it is set in the 80s, and denim was in the 80s. So a lot of these characters. Well, actually, no.
Double denim was in the 80s.
double denim was in the 80s. Actually, I think they're the phone repair woman and the driller killer. I believe he becomes known as. That might be in part the second sequel.
No.
Is it not? Is that not him?
Are you aware of the film The Driller Killer?
I've got it wrong then.
It's fine.
Okay.
Because when I first heard about this film and I was told, this is Slasher, his choice of weapon is a big industrial drill. He's like a driller killer. My response was, wait, no, are you sure this is the right film? Because I've seen The Driller Killer. The Driller Killer is a classic. I don't know if it's Trauma, but it's a classic, very graphic B movie. I think it was before Slumber Party. I might be wrong.
Way before. It was 1979.
Yeah, it's. I think it may have been bad. It's on that list.
Oh, Navarone. There you go.
It's on that list of really extreme slasher killer films. But it just so happens our killer in question has a drill as well.
Oh, okay.
So we can still call him the driller killer. He kills with a drill, for God's sake.
He does. He does it spectacularly well. And again, it falls in line with slashers of the 80s because apart from one kill in this film, again, you never see the actual moment the characters die. It seemed to be a thing of the 80s. They'd imply they're about to die, except for it's one of the lads. I can't remember his name. It's when he runs to Val's house, and that's the only death in this film that you actually see the kill happening. The rest of them, to be fair, I mean, you can kind of get away with it with a knife because it's easily, you get a fake knife, a lot of blood packets. Yeah. It's easy to fake, but obviously with a giant power drill, that's really tricky unless you have a great special effects team and a very realistic looking dummy, which back in the 80s, they didn't really. Let's be honest. They didn't.
Sorry, just taking a swig of beer to get through this.
I do have a note, and I picked this. There was two moments that I really thought were interesting. Actually, I'll take it back to what I've noticed throughout this film is the audio in this it's very.
You were going to mention that.
Well, that's not what I was going to mention. I'll mention that in a second. But this film is different to, I feel, a lot of other slashers because they would play some very intense music, so build up the tension, something creepy's going on, and then it cuts dead, it stops, and then there's no sound after that apart from them talking,
Yeah.
and then it does it. It's a bit of a weird sort of starting and stopping, and because some slasher films, once a tense moment is happening, and it's especially like the second half, getting into the final stages,
Yeah.
they keep that music going because they got to keep building up the tension. But with this film, it was a case of, oh, dude's been killed, and stop the music, all quiet. You're like, oh, okay, we're back to normal. That's fine.
Yeah, the music is not really used,
No,
shall we say, to enhance, the killer is around the corner, or something mysterious is happening.
I think
there's a sound happening outside. It's not really, it's more used for the shock value.
I think at the start of the film, I counted about maybe 3 different types of music being played during the guy delivering the post. There's 3 different sets of music, and I'm like, this guy, the music team on this were like,
the paperboy.
we've got some freedom here. We're gonna go for it. And one of them in particular, it reminded me of a video game noise that I'd heard. It's annoying because I couldn't place it. The closest thing I got was if you play the Sonic games, the original back in the 90s, it's when he's drowning and you get that really quick
That drowning sound is incredible. I love the Sonic drowning sound.
And it to me it sounded like that mixed with a bit of Jaws, which obviously had come out a few years before.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is I like that whole music thing. I thought it was fantastic. But the audio I wanted to mention, and I wonder if you picked up on this as well, was there's a lot of harsh clipping with the S sounds in this film. That is my dog barking, if you're wondering.
I don't know if it picked up.
Probably not. And especially when a lot of characters speak, when they say the S words, it's very clippy. It's very harsh. There's a lot of the sort of
I didn't notice that.
It's. I think if you're not listening for it, you won't notice it. But the problem I had is once I'd noticed it, I kept picking it up, and I was getting to the point. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening so often. It's driving me up the wall. But again,
I know something like that when I'm editing a podcast.
No, I know what you're talking about. But there was actually a great moment when it's the thunderstorm near the end.
Yeah.
You see the flash of lightning, and then you get this like 1 to 2 second clip of the start of a thunderclap, and it cuts, and then it plays again. And I was like,
no.
Someone edited that in the wrong place, and they stuck it in twice. So it goes. You're like, oh no.
That's someone who was doing their sound effects in the editing room at 10 to 5 p.m. and needed to get out on a Friday night.
Yep. It's like, I gotta go, and then they've looked at it and gone, did I do that? I'm sure I did. Yeah, let's keep going.
So I actually took a lot more notes than I thought I would have done, and I think it's
I did
similar
as well.
to I can't remember what film we were talking about. It was the last couple films, and we were discussing how we both took more notes because it was stuff we'd missed. I think it was in Friday the 13th films.
Yes, I believe it was.
Stuff we knew the film. Whatever film was in question, we knew it quite well, but there was stuff we had kind of missed and then started to pick up on while rewatching. I can't remember what film we were talking. It might have been last week. It might have been
a Nightmare on Elm Street, because I'm fairly certain.
I think it could have been.
To be fair, we're rewatching a lot of the films that we used to growing up, so we're probably going to catch a load of things that we didn't beforehand anyway.
Yes, yeah.
So there you go.
But right at the beginning, so when we're at the school and you're getting introduced to the girls, they're playing basketball in a gym lesson, and I love the fact, because it's the early 80s. This is before basketball has really hit what it is now.
Oh yeah,
it's very flashy. It's all about the
professional.
These girls are playing the most fundamental basketball game ever. It's dribble, dribble, stop, pass, dribble, dribble, stop, pass.
It reminded me a bit of netball.
Quite netball, but I mean, this is not doesn't matter who's it doesn't matter if they were women or men or whoever playing it. It's the fact it's of the time, and I love that they're playing just the fundamentals. They're not doing anything
Yeah.
flashy. They're not trying sick layups. They're dribble, dribble, block, pass, dribble, dribble, pass.
Yeah.
I'm open. It was so basic. I only love it because I used to play basketball. I'm sitting here in a jersey right now.
That's true.
I'm a big basketball fan, and it's nothing to do really with the film, but it was a little thing I picked up on and I just loved. And this is before they all get horribly murdered.
Yeah, it is. It's also before a really funny scene. Again, well, not a funny scene, a bit of a cheese. It is in the shower. I'm not gonna lie. I first saw this film when I was a teenager, so you can imagine I took great satisfaction in watching this film when I was a teenager.
You see boobs within the first 10 minutes.
I know, it's great. You get boobs and you get butt in the first 10 minutes. It's fantastic, and you get the first death in the first 10 minutes. So it's
It
what more could you ask for?
Any time this film,
no,
it just goes.
And I think this is one of the first instances of a sign on times. Now you do have to keep in mind though, this was directed by Amy Holden Jones, and she actually got quite a lot of backlash for this film because in a way they sort of labeled it as an exploitation film at the time. It's really not. It is a slasher film. It's just got a lot of the nudity gore that a lot of the 80s had. And she really went ham at the people who accused her. And she said, well, a lot of these male directors, like she listed off a load, could make a film like this and people would not bat an eyelid because they'd be like, yeah, okay. But she says, when a woman did it, I got so much backlash for being a hypocrite. And I sat there and was like, she's got a point, actually. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're a man or woman directing a film. If you want to make a film like the Slumber Party Massacre, just go for it. Put whatever you want in it. It's your film.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, you also the shots of the boob shots. It is only at the beginning.
There's a few more later down the line.
Oh, there.
You got the gym,
wait, in the
when
car
they're changing.
No, well,
they're getting changed in the house.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's quite a few.
About that. Yeah, there are quite a few. Yeah, and in the car scene. Yeah. Okay, I forgot about that.
The first bit, like I said, the first bit of cheese not cheese. I mean, let's be honest. It's a great shot, whether you want to admit it or not. It's they're having this. They're all in the shower. They're all having a joke with each other, talking about the game, etc. And we get to Trish, and it's just this slow-mo pan down to her butt. And I just remember taking a note, going, "It's it's just a slow-mo butt crack shot." You're like, it doesn't need to be in there, but
no.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, it is one of those shots where like you said, it doesn't need to be in there. It's there for the sake of being there. It is kind of just there for the sake of being there, and it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, I did like that they also picked up on the. This is also where I think when you're watching this film, there are kind of two subplots. Yes, subplots. That's the word. Subplots going on, and this is where they sort of divulge. So obviously, Trish says, I'm going to have a girls' party, slumber party, and Val is the new girl.
Divulge,
so she hasn't been there long. Divert, not divulge.
I was just thinking.
Yes, it's divert. They divert.
I'm so sorry. Yes, they divert.
Yes, and Trish thinks, I'm going to invite the new girl. Be great. And of course, I can't remember who it is. It's the blonde girl.
Him.
Basically says, I don't want her to come. She's a bit of a bitch. Yeah. In certain words. And of course, Val hears this and goes, oh, well, I don't want to come along then. So this is where the stories, I almost said divulge there, diverge. So you have the slumber party crew that are, at Trish's, and you have Val, who then goes on to look after her sister Courtney.
Horrible
by
actress.
Letting her read Playgirl.
Horrible
I shall add.
It is play now.
It is, yes.
Let's divulge, shall we, to this side story of Val. Yeah, I'm going with it now.
Okay.
So Valerie looking after Courtney. Now Courtney, is it a playgirl she's reading, not a playboy?
It is. It's Playgirl, because when
she's talking about boys, isn't she?
Courtney's in a room.
Yeah.
And Val goes up to talk to her, and she takes the Playgirl magazine off her. And I know that because they then flick to a page in the Playgirl, and it's some dude with her. It's some dude with his butt out. and
Yeah,
they're listing
that's
off like Jack is a gardener, he's nice and strong, and check out his pole, huh, or something to that degree, which you would not find in Playboy. You'd only find that obviously in Playgirl.
we were saying earlier about how horrible the age of this casting is. The casting isn't too bad itself if they were meant to be women. It's the fact that Valerie looked mid to late 20s.
She's very yes.
Courtney looks late teens, early 20s at the max, late teens.
Yeah.
But she acts like an early teenager.
I think that may have been intentional because I think she was supposed to be that kind of that brat.
Oh, she very much is, yeah.
She's very much a brat, yeah. There's a very odd scene in it. I remember this scene now. I clearly had forgotten it at the time. And it's when she calls up a friend, and she's reading this Playgirl, and she goes, "Oh yeah, my sister Val. Yeah, she told me about this thing called French kissing, and then I did this with a dude, and his slimy tongue went in my." I was like, "Oh, I don't need you to describe it to me."
It was gross. It was all slimy down my throat. Oh my god!
He tickled my tonsils, and you're just like, again, it doesn't need to be in the film. No. But when I watched it, I'm like, it just again, you would only find it in a film called The Slumber Party Massacre. It would only appear in something like this, and as weird as it was great as well. Anyway, now sticking with the teens theme that we've got going on here. This film was a bit different. Well, actually, no, it wasn't different. It kind of still continued on the trend of the teens aren't as thick as a bag of bricks.
I noted that down.
Yeah,
I noticed that. Yeah,
we'll call them teens because in the film they're supposed to be teens. And the girls in this, the girls in this film are actually very clever, and I really enjoyed them. That's not the right word. I really enjoyed them. Well, I
bet you did. I bet you did.
Teenage me enjoyed, pausing this film every now and then. Yes. But I really liked their characters. And it was great because they were likable characters. They didn't have much backstory, but
no one really had a backstory in this film.
No, not really. I mean, the killer had the biggest backstory of the lot of them.
Yeah, and that is not saying much.
Yeah, but they weren't completely as thick as a bag of bricks. That you just went, I know you're going to die, and I don't care. With this lot, I was like, oh, I don't want you to die, but I know some of you are going to.
Mm-hmm. Sacrifices will be made.
Exactly. And there are some great death scenes. Great post-death scenes, shall we say.
Yes, which I think we can get to a list of death scenes soon.
Oh, yes.
Because there's some good ones.
I also noticed that...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say, I also noted that a lot of the job professions in this film are, again, played by women. So you have the coach, who was Coach... I can't remember her name.
Let's call her Coach.
We'll call her Coach. She was coaching the women's basketball. She was a woman. And then, of course, we had the phone repair woman, who was also a woman. We then had the lady working on the coach's house. And I was like, this is very cool, because usually in these type of 80s films, you probably have the man teaching the girls' basketball team. It would, of course, been a phone repairman and, of course, some sort of carpenter bloke. But no, they turned
early 80s. It's great for early 80s. It's a really surprising thing to see.
Yeah, I really liked it.
We're talking about how they're not fucking idiots. They're not complete idiots, and they're not so
well.
And they're kind of with it.
They get a bit stupid later in the film, but we'll get to that.
Well, it's so. A couple of things. I want to go back to the killer at the beginning of the film, but while we're at the kids, when the slumber party is so we've discussed Valerie and Courtney, one house doing whatever. The slumber party is happening, and across the street, two young guys. Friends of the girls, but they're trying to sneak up on them around the house and look through the window and peer on them. Ooh, look at the hot girls.
I believe it's Jeff and John. No, Jeff and Neil. Sorry.
When they eventually get into the house and start just hanging out with the girls, they're And when the killings start happening, when they realize shit's hitting the fan, they are not your douchebag masculine over masculine guys. They're scared as well, but they're still trying to do all they can to save the girls and try and get help. But they what's the best way to say it? They show their weakness. They're vulnerable, which you don't get a lot.
They really are,
and I like that.
They don't have that hyped up masculinity, which is it's right. I'm here.
I'll take care of him, girls.
They're like, oh my god, if I go outside this house, I'm gonna die. But if we send the girls outside the house, to them, their rationing is if we go outside of the house. I mean, there's a great little bit of dialogue between the two lads, and I believe it's Neil says to Jeff, he says, "Look, you go out one door, I'll go out the other. At least that way, one of us will survive." Yes. And I must admit, I was like, not the kind of thing you want to have a chat about, but it's like you just said, it shows that they're sitting there going, not thinking, I'm going to go outside this house, I'm going to find this dude, I'm going to, bash his brains in.
Yeah.
It's one of us, there's a 50-50 chance one of us is going to die. And they're quite scared about it. But they know that at least if they go out, they could survive because they might be able to fight the killer off. But if they send the ladies out, they're thinking they probably will just die. Which, of course, when we get down the later end, there's a great scene with a lot of screaming and crying that I had to take a note on. It's so horribly out of sync and post-production recorded. It's just great.
As far as killings go and our killer, I love that. How did I note this down? Here we go. This is how I noted it down. Within the first 15 minutes, not even a whiff of who's the killer or who might be the killer. You know who the killer is. You see his face. You see him running around. Because one of the girl's friends, after their basketball game, she forgets something at school and she has to go back and get it. Of course, she's left on her own at school while the killer is still there. And he's chasing her. There's a little chase ensues and he kills her. But during the chase, she is hidden at one point and the camera is following him. Not from just behind over the shoulder. You get full shot of him and his face. You know who the killer is. But the problem with that, and it's a minor problem, fake outs that you'll get throughout the film. What's that sound? And then a hand appears through the darkness.
Yeah.
But you've just seen the killer in another building, and it kind of ruins the fake out a bit, where you know it's not him.
Yeah, there's a moment in there's an interesting line in the film. I believe it's only, who is it? It's Trish and I can't remember the girl's name.
Which one?
Oh, it's Kim. Trish and Kim. Kim's the
blonde one. Yeah,
the blonde one. And Val's come looking for them, even though she got a phone call from the coach, and she's like, "Well, you know what? They were kind of a bit of, the little bit bitchy towards me. I don't really want to go around their house." And then she hangs up the phone. She goes, "But let me know if I can do anything to help you." And it's like, well, you could go around and check their house.
Go around and check up, yeah.
And it's when they hear Val knocking on the door. Oh no, Val's inside the house and the killer's inside the house. And there's just this dialogue that's like, yeah, but what if they're friends? They might be in it together. And it's because we know who the killer is. You're just like,
that was a good line. That
line doesn't have any weight now. Because that the whole time Val's been in her. Well, we know the whole time that Val has been in her house. So if we didn't know who the killer was, if they kept it a mystery up to that point, you could have thought, well, actually, is all this interaction with Courtney, has that all happened way earlier in the night?
Yeah.
And this is, time jumping and whatnot.
It's like a step missed for the audience, whereas, like you said, we know the killer is, we know that Valerie's not involved, but they don't. The characters, which I quite like that line you brought up that they say, "Is she involved?" They're thinking, they're smart, they're thinking about what's going on. Like, is she involved?
They're trying to reason.
Are you involved? Like, what's going on here?
I loved it. They just looked at each other. It could be you. Oh, it's not me. It's definitely you. It's like, oh, okay.
It's both of us.
I felt I felt really bad for Val in this entire film. She's being the new kid in a
Yeah.
school is it's horrible enough. You've got no friends, you don't know what you're doing, and I mean, Trish was kind of nice. Trish was trying to be nice to her, but then obviously Kim was like, "No, I'm not having that. Get real." And throughout the whole film, I just felt bad for her because she wasn't invited to the slumber party. She got
Massacre.
called a teacher's pet. She had all these, she had Kim really having a go at her in the locker room.
Yeah.
Her sister's a bit of a
Bad
grumpy
actress.
guts to her. And you're just like, you know what, just Val, just sit down, get your Kool-Aid with way too much sugar in it.
Oh
She
my
pours
God,
she
the
pours
Kool-Aid.
that bag in, and I was
That's
like,
how
you
they
are gonna
drink
have a
it.
heart attack.
It's how
Like,
they drink it.
That's not healthy. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, just sit down, watch the TV, and just let everything unfold. You'll be fine. You wake up in the morning, you'll be great.
So, like you said, I mean,
Smoke a bit of the Mally Wally.
yeah.
It was such a funny scene. It's like, I'm so sorry I scared you. It's like, I tell you what, you smoke that weed and don't tell your parents I scared you, and I'll forget the weed. Yeah, okay, good idea. Yeah, great deal.
Who is that guy again? Is he a neighbor?
That's
Is he the
Mr.
neighbor?
I think it's Mr. Content. It's a really odd name.
Yeah,
It's
but I believe
kinda
isn't
like
he a neighbor?
David Content. Oh, it's Content. He's the
Content.
neighbor.
Yeah, so a neighbor is kind of just checking up on them because the slumber party is happening while Trish's house, I believe.
Yes.
Trish's house is away. Trish's parents have left. They've gone away for the weekend. The house is gone. Her parents went at the beginning of the film, which is the precursor to the slumber party happening. Basically, that's what sets up the slumber party. She's got a free house, but she should have known there was a killer on the loose. So it's really all this is her fault. Really?
Well,
Can we say that? Can we
she
say that
doesn't
all
know.
this is her fault? Well, she should know.
She should know because that would be big news. But I believe it is at the start of the film where Trish is woken up. She's getting changed and she turns the radio on. But I think she leaves just before they mention the fact the killer's on the loose. Although to be fair, the fact that this dude was in a mental prison and has escaped, you would think that most people were like, "Oh shit,
This
he's
is
out."
big news, especially if it's a small town.
Oh yeah,
It's not
especially
really
if it's a small
established where this is.
I think it's implied it's Hollywood because there's a lot of references to killers in Hollywood.
Okay.
So I mean, it's somewhere with palm trees. It could be
Yeah.
in Haddonfield because Haddonfield's got palm trees as well.
Ugh.
And well, that was one of my notes. It's
Yes,
who was it?
Haddonfield
It was
in
when,
Illinois, which is actually
in Illinois.
California with palm trees.
Oh, it's Coach Jana. That was her name, Coach Jana. And it's I can't remember her name. It's the girl with the Freddy Krueger type T-shirt. And it's when she's walking down the alleyway, and you get the first person fake out where the person's walking up behind her. And to me, at that very point in time, it felt like they were kind of influenced by Halloween here, with the first person walking shots and the killer acting in broad daylight. Because most of it, again, he's an unusual slasher because some of his kills occur in the daytime and the nighttime, where a lot of slash films or horror films always take place at nighttime.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of their killers are just nocturnal. They're like, I'm going to sleep during the day, kill during the night, sorted.
Did I mention his name? I did. I think I mentioned his name.
Russ Thorne?
Thorne. That's his name. It's
no
anything really. It's man with normal man name basically. There's nothing really that sets him apart.
There's nothing special
from
about
being special.
He originally, when you first watch this film, you think he's the silent killer type because he doesn't say anything. He does speak at the end, but
he's crazy.
He likes to a lot. So
he's a crazy person.
There's a bit I think where he gets knocked out and he wakes up and he just goes
Yes.
and you're like, all right then. He likes to
We'll get to that when we discuss the end because the end is pretty wild. It's pretty.
Who did
Who
did Trish remind you of, by the way? The actress.
Trish remind me of
Michelle Michaels. Who did she remind you of? I want to know if you picked this up. It was only there's a couple of people So the Trish character and the
Hmm.
killer kind of reminded me of two other actors and actresses. He's
The
thinking.
killer did. The killer, the
Yep.
actor who played the killer, did remind me of
Did.
someone, but I couldn't think who. If I'm honest, I couldn't. I
So
couldn't. Go
the
on.
killer, especially in a certain scene, he reminded me of Matthew Broderick from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Really?
There's a particular scene. It's near the end, and he's
Yeah.
coming downstairs, and he looks a certain way. And if you were to kind of deep fake Matthew Broderick's face on him, it would slightly match up. It might be stretching in a lot of them, but it was only in that particular scene that I was like, oh, okay. But
Interesting.
Michelle Michaels, her character especially, slightly reminded me of Sigourney Weaver from Alien.
Was it
Very young.
Was it the big
The
permy
hair.
curly haircut?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
It was only a certain scene where I believe they're discussing something, and for some reason she's putting a hot dog on Jeff's face because he's got a black eye from where she punched him.
Oh yeah, because she doesn't have a stake. Yeah. So
she puts
basically, when the boys turned up to the slumber party, they goofed around and scared them. But one of them got
a black eye.
Yeah, and
Which
he's like,
it's
"Oh,
lucky
got a
that's all he
steak."
got, because he almost got stabbed.
Yeah, you got a steak, and she's, I've got hot dogs, frozen hot dogs. So use this to cool your black eye. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that more than Matthew Broderick, but maybe if I go back and rewatch some certain scenes, I might change my mind.
I'll show you the clip. I'll send you the little clip of it. That might work, yeah.
By the way, I rewatched this on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Someone had uploaded this on YouTube for free.
I'm fairly certain. It's probably been on YouTube for a long time now.
Yeah. And it's probably never going to get
one of
taken
those
down because it's
films
not important enough.
I've just seen the tagline for this film. That is, that poor pizza. The tagline for this film is, "You bring the pizza, I'll bring the drill." And I'm like, oh, that poor pizza guy.
Really? I didn't know that was the tagline, because the pizza guy is only in it. Well, I say in it. He's in it for a minute.
Well, that's the thing. By the way, I know why my screen is getting dark.
Pitch black now.
It's not. So if I scroll down on IMDb, you get to that. You get to the nice, where all the cast is. You scroll up to the top, you get to the main part, which is just pure grey. So I'm going to try and stay down here. The other tagline for this film was, I've got to go dark again. Here we go. Was "Close your eyes for a second and sleep forever." So I thought that was the tagline, but it's not. The tagline is actually, "You bring the pizza, I'll bring the drill." There you go. Some trivia for you.
Does the pizza guy get his... Because it's actually the pizza guy...
The pizza guy alerts them that something's going on.
He is the thing that alerts them. Does he have his eyes drilled through?
Yes,
because he dies. It's not so much like eyes gouged out. I think they're gone. They're drilled through. Yeah.
Which brings to point the next question: who said the line, "It's your pizza"? Because there's no way they wouldn't have heard him screaming through that door if he was having his eyes drilled out, if he was still alive at that point.
So how was he standing with the pizza still in hand at the door?
See, I know how. All right, I've worked it out. In the 1980s, in wherever this was filmed, they soundproofed the wazoo out of anything they built.
All right? You're telling me.
The van is soundproof to the point of no one can hear anything happening in or out of it. The house they're in is so soundproof that they can scream inside it and no one can hear anything outside it.
That's true.
Great.
That's true.
Yeah. So I reckon potentially the pizza guy said his line, and then as they were standing by the door counting the money, he was having his eyes, drilled out. I reckon that's what it was.
It was a loud drill, surely.
Oh yeah, that thing is.
It's an
you would probably be able to hear
drill.
that outside.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I think we're pretty much. I'm going to check's notes, as the kids
notes.
like to say.
I still have.
Do you remember in the film? Asking my co-host, do you remember in the film? That's just great for podcast.
Podcast.
Not Trish, not Kim, not Jackie. The fourth girl. She has a Diane, who this is actually a good segue onto her death, which is like the movie poster.
Oh yes.
So Diane earlier on in the film, I don't think there's a boyfriend. It's a guy she's seen.
Yeah. John Minor.
Big guy with curly hair.
The football player.
Yeah, he, and again, he's not douchey or really that
He's
much.
not. He's a little bit pushy, but
yeah, he turns up
not
at the party.
Not a creepy way.
He turns up at the party in his car sneakily, and oh god, you just said her name. What was her name? Diane. Sneaks out the party to see him. They start fondly making out. She goes back into the house and says, "It's like just wants to go get quote unquote beer."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, and they're not stupid. They know why she wants to go. They're not stupid.
It's like,
when she does go,
I think she wants beer.
I think she wants a big beer. When she goes back to our fella in the car, his head falls off, as one would do. She's a very good kisser. It falls clean off of its head, and obviously that's not good.
No,
it's never good.
It's never good to lose your head.
And Russ just appears. I'm not going to call him the kid. I'm going to call him Russ. Russ appears. We know it's Russ.
Yeah, we'll call him Russ. He actually has a name. We'll call him Russ.
And I don't think they really go back and forth much, do they? It's in the garage, that garage that she dies. Yeah,
so how does he do it? He breaks her window, and then I believe she crawls out from his side, which is where he corners her.
That's it.
And that's when we get that scene.
When he corners her.
Oh yeah.
He slumped to the floor, with her back against the wall. The camera is positioned behind Russ's legs and thighs. Russ's thighs and legs, with her with a leg split. You're looking at her through his legs, and then the drill comes down.
Yeah,
on
such a good scene.
And
you know what it's referencing.
Yeah, it's a very subtle referencing, but it's such a well shot scene. And you don't see her get killed.
No,
this is the implication. The implication is there.
I did like the little. We'll just jump back to the hot dog scene.
Yeah.
Because there's a really funny segue. Because again, Jeff has got this black eye, and Trish is asking him, what should I put on it? And he says, well, if you've got any steak, I'll put that on. She goes, well, I don't. I've only got. Oh no, that was it. She doesn't even put the hot dogs on. She goes, well, what else could we put on it that would work? And it cuts to the car scene where we get a shot of John getting a little bit hands and feely with certain anatomy parts of Diane.
Oh, and yes, they're shown. Yeah.
Oh, yes, they are shown in glorious 1080, 3020p.
144p.
144p that this was filmed in. Yep. There's a whole thing throughout this film of this dude is, he treats his drill like his knob.
Yeah.
Effectively, that's what it is.
Not so much with like Leatherface in TCM 2, where he uses it to sort of thrust as like his dick. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad actually our killer didn't really do that. Russ doesn't really do that.
No, he doesn't. I mean,
I like the subtleness of it just there.
Yeah.
Just there. That's all it needs to be.
They subtly hint, but not in a. He doesn't do anything weird with his. I mean, watch the Slumber Party Massacre 2 is when it really does get a bit weird.
Oh,
that's when they crank
don't even. That's going to take hours and hours for us to even explain what that film is even about.
When we said that we were gonna do this film, I looked up and there are so many massacre like type films.
Yeah.
That you could fill podcast episodes galore with them.
Yeah.
You got the Slumber Party Massacre ones. You got the Cheerleader Massacre ones. There's tons of them. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barbie dies, doesn't she? Yeah, I remember now. She's stuck in the door lock, isn't she?
Wait. Who did you call Barbie?
The Barbie doll. The Barbie doll dies. It gets crammed in the lock.
Wait, what? What did I miss here?
What did I miss?
Yeah, he picks up the doll from the trash can.
Trish is looking to get rid of some of her, I guess, toys.
Yes.
And one of them is the Barbie girl. So she picks up a Barbie girl. I would have got rid of the other doll because the other doll was far creepier than
Yeah,
the Barbie
I do
thing.
remember that. Yeah.
And she throws it away. And this is after they've discovered the two lads are there.
Yeah.
And Trish opens the window and she sees that the Barbie doll it's like covered in, I don't know, trash or whatever, and it's been wedged into the lock. So she she screams a lot because she thinks, oh, is it some reference that they're going to come kill us? And of course that's when they asked the two lads, oh, great Barbie doll prank, and they were like, what Barbie doll prank?
Yeah.
We didn't do that.
Okay, I remember.
Which is
now.
again
Yeah.
another little warning symbol. They're like, oh, something funky is going down here.
If it wasn't you, and it wasn't you, and it wasn't us, who did it?
And it wasn't,
Maybe it was the pizza guy.
Why? Yeah, maybe it was the pizza guy. Oh, there's that really odd scene. It's where, like, the pizza guy is clearly dead.
Yeah.
It's got two huge holes where his eyes should be. And it's where, I think it's Jackie. She's like, we should it's like, it's the three of them. It's Jackie.
Oh, she gets hungry.
Yeah, Kim and Trish. And they're sitting there, goes, oh, we shouldn't move. It's like, no, it's like, but I'm really hungry. It's like, oh. And then she sees the pizza and she's like, well, fuck it.
I'm not going to let it go to waste.
Yeah, they crawl towards him with their knives out, literally ready to stab him. Like, the man is dead. And it's this great line. I mean, to be fair, Jackie is a hell of a philosopher here. She looks at the guy, and I think it's Kim, and she's like, yeah, it's like, he's definitely dead. And they're like, oh, okay. And Jackie's like, well, fuck the pizza. All right. So she rips the pizza out of this dead dude's hands, places it on his body and opens it. And she's like, well, life goes on. I mean, I'm hungry. I must eat. I shall feel better after I've eaten. She eats a slice of pizza and she's like, I feel better now.
He does not give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and I'm like,
the pizza's going to get cold,
Yeah. I mean, if you think you're going to get, killed, I mean, if there's a pizza in front of me, I'll probably eat it too. Because, at least I'll have a good last meal.
But the thing is, though, in our times, we would have paid for it by card already. They wouldn't have. They'd be paying by cash. So they got a free pizza.
Exactly. They did technically get free pizza. You could also then say, well, I'm going to take my money back.
Yeah. Technically, they stole that pizza.
Yeah, they did, yes.
They did, yeah.
That's why I said that poor pizza guy,
I think it's pretty much from this point onwards when they're being harassed now by Russ. We get great scene after great scene. Like, there are some great scenes onwards here.
There are.
The one we just discussed with Diane being killed with the great shot of the drill in the crutch.
Yeah.
There's another great scene. I've listed so many, like, love this scene.
My first note for this is that this is where they start getting a little bit. They start falling into that cliche of stupid teenagers in the film because of a lot of the things they do in this. But again, I don't know if that's what they intended to do, considering it was originally meant to be a parody.
They get picked off pretty quickly.
It
feels like they had to rush through this film now.
I mean, they probably did, because I think at this point in time, it's around about the 49-minute mark, and this film is only an hour and 13 minutes long. So at this point in time, they're like, oh my God, we have like 5 scenes left. We've got like no time to do this. And
we gotta wrap it up.
Wrap it up as quickly as we can.
When he has killed a certain amount of them, I believe he's killed. No, in fact, I know how many he's killed because this scene.
Is this the car trunk scene?
Yes, it is the car trunk scene. I can't remember which body he's dragging to the car.
He's dragging.
Oh, it might be. No, wait, Diane. Wait, how many people has he killed? Right,
it's the other lad. It's Neil.
It is the first guy that he kills. So, how many people has he killed in this film so far? He's killed the electrician woman. The electrician.
Yes, the repair phone woman. She's dead. The girl who went back.
Yeah.
Schoolgirl's dead. He has killed
Diane.
Gosh. Diane's dead.
And her fella.
John Miner's dead.
That makes sense. That's 4.
Yes, but at this point in time, he thinks he's killed 5 because he thinks he believes he's killed Jeff.
That's exactly, So he's in. He opens this. I don't even think it's probably a car he's stolen because it's not the
Probably is.
electrician's van; it's a car. He opens the trunk, and there's 4 bodies in there, and he's 1, 2,
It's so
3,
good.
4, and he stopped, and he's kind of confused as to, did he say where's 5 or there was 5?
I think he says, he gets to 4 and he's like,
Oh
shit.
wait, yeah, shit.
There's 5.
Which then cuts to his 5th victim being the second guy out of the. I don't remember their names. The 2 dudes crawling around the backyard trying to get back in the house.
Yeah.
I just love that that's a big trunk.
Oh, it is. He fits
You got
4
bodies.
4 grown bodies in there.
4 bodies.
It's just such a nice humanizing touch that they do with him.
Yeah.
It's just when he's just looking at it going, oh shit. Oh, where's the 5th one?
Yeah.
It's
Where did I put him? Where did I?
Catch, like,
it's not like where his keys are. Where are my keys? Where's that 5th body?
I would love it if they had that. You wouldn't get that with Michael, or you might get it with Freddy. But can you imagine Michael just walking around like to his kills and going, "Ooh, oh shit, I've left. Where's the other one gone?"
That would be like showing, which our killer does do. You know, when Michael in the first Halloween film, he kind of poses his bodies. It's only a couple, but like he'll hang one up, one will drop down wherever Laurie. Like this happens in this. I think Diane dropped down is like a jump scare moment. Imagine Michael, the camera pan into Michael and us watching him pose his body. It's like, I'm just trying to think that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, that's one, and then just get in there.
Damn it! I broke the coat hanger. Oh,
yeah. Oh shit, she's coming. Right. You don't get that, like you said, humanizing of our serial killers that much.
No, you don't. It is fantastic. Now, I thought, because when we're first on the radio, we're introduced to Russ. Obviously, it mentions that he killed 5 people in his last killing spree, and I believe that when he got to the trunk and he was loading up Neil's body, for me, that was like, oh, was that going to be his 5th victim? And then he was like, cool, I've killed the 5. It's time to move on. And the only reason he went back is because he realized, oh shit, where's my 5th victim? I have to go get him again. Who, by the way, if you're, it's one of those, like, I know they did it for like tension purposes, but it's when Jeff is lying, he's been attacked, he's lying outside the door, and he's just sitting there like a cat, just like scratching the door, not saying anything, and you're kind of watching it going, just knock on the door and be like, oh, it's Jeff. Just it's Jeff.
Yeah.
And at first you think, oh, maybe his vocal cords don't work, but then he gets killed a second later and he screams so loud, and the girl's like, oh shit, it was Jeff. Oh dear. And it's like, just even, say something, man.
It's me. Let me in. Just
it's
that.
Me. Oh god, he's coming with his drill. Oh.
But I guess at the same time, they were kind of being smart because they weren't sure. Yeah. They just in that scenario, what would you do? It's a hard one. Well,
and again, it shows that these teens are not, the thick as bricks teens that you usually find nowadays. Because so Jackie dies because she wants to let Val in, because she hears, it's either, I think it's Val, and she runs downstairs, she opens the door, and the killer, swipes her neck and she dies. And it's only someone rings the doorbell. She goes downstairs to let someone in, and it's she does let Val in, or she thinks she's letting Val in. And it's only when they hear Val later on, Trish and Kim, that Trish says, well, hang on, we answered them last time and Jackie died, so we're not doing that again. We're going to stay here. Which goes to show that these teens are like, oh, hang on, we're safe in this room. The doors are barricaded. Don't go anywhere.
They're thinking about it. They're constantly thinking about what's going on.
They really are. It's obviously, as slasher films went on, the level of teen IQ just went whoop and took a nosedive.
Wow. Yeah. Right. We're at in my opinion, pinnacle. We're at the pinnacle, best scene of the whole film.
Okay.
And I hope, and I would like to think you feel the same for me. So
most likely.
we're down to Kim and Trish in their bedroom. They barricade themselves in, and the shot is of them facing the camera on the floor. Behind them is their window, and it's open.
Yep.
And they're talking. They're discussing what's next. What are we going to do? How are we going to solve what the fuck is going on? While they're talking, the tip of the drill comes through the window.
Yes.
Climbs through the window very slowly, very quietly, and he's in the room. They're still talking. The camera has not moved, and he's just slowly approaching them from behind.
Yeah.
And all I could think while watching this, especially when I was watching it for the first time, is, can you imagine being in the cinema watching this for the first time with people back in the 80s? What everyone, you're just, the theatre must have been very much like, I don't know, very, very, very quiet, listening to them talk, and then suddenly everyone in the theatre got gasping.
He's there. He's behind you.
He's there. It's such a great shot. It's a very pantomime shot. It's like, he's behind you.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And he gets close. He gets right up until them, and they turn around and scream, and chaos ensues.
It's that really. I don't know how the best way to describe it. Because he steps on the weird floorboard and it creaks and he just freezes. And these two just like slowly tilt their heads back up. They're looking up at him again. And there's like a second, it's like, oh, shit. And then it's like, oh, we gotta go.
Yeah, we have to go. We have to. I don't know how they fend themselves. Can you remember how they fend themselves off?
Trish, it's weird. They have the knife between them, but they don't pick it up. But then Trish gets a baseball bat. And she whacks him around the back of the head with it, and he knocks him on the floor.
That's it. But one of them drops the knife, I believe, because while they're trying to...
I think Kim drops the knife.
Yeah. Because while they're trying to unbarricade themselves in, he gets back up and stabs Kim. He kills Kim, stabs her. With the knife.
With the knife, yeah.
And then, which leads to Trish escaping. I mean, they are.
She does not look back. She's like,
she doesn't look back. That is a smart thing to do. Really, it is. It's go save yourself. You have to go.
This leads me on to one of my favorite scenes actually in this film, and it's the fridge scene. It's just because of how daft it is. Also,
I love that fridge scene we were talking about. I know
Courtney,
exactly what it is.
A little bit psychotic, as I found out, as I noted.
Yeah.
When there's an interaction between Valerie and Courtney, and I think Val's teasing her about boys. It's like, oh, when you were in 5th grade, you were swatting off the boys, huh? And Courtney's like, that's disgusting. How dare you? And it's clearly intended to be a bit of a sisterly sister joke thing. And when Val's taking the bins out, she's cleaning up the bins, Courtney pounces on her with a knife in her hand.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, you deserve this because of that joke. She went, oh, it's not that sharp. And I was watching it going, that's a massive overreaction there. That's a Michael Myers level of psychoticness.
Horrible actress, horrible character.
Yeah. But the fridge for me was one of the better scenes in the whole film.
Because what happens twice.
Because it's Kim again. I don't know how Kim gets in there.
He puts her in there. So after he pounces on Kim and Trish, Trish runs off and he tries to find them. Now, is this before the coach turns up?
Yes, because Courtney hasn't hidden away yet.
That's right. Yes, Courtney and Valerie haven't hidden away.
Yes, they hide when he's moving the pizza boy.
Yes. So hang on, let's get on track. So where does Trish hide?
So Trish runs out of the room. We don't know where Trish goes.
That's it. And
because she's not seen again till the swimming pool scene.
That's it. And he's looking for her in the house. He goes to the bathroom, looks for her, sees her panties, and he's looking for her. That's it.
Yeah. So at some point after killing Kim, he's put her in the fridge. Somehow, and it's this great moment.
He's got no room in the car.
Yeah. Courtney and Val are still in the house now, and they're like, "Oh, let's just raid their fridge and stuff." And it's like, just leave the house, all right. But Courtney's a bit of a weird kid.
The shot is, as you're looking at as the camera is pointed at the fridge, It's at an angle, but the pathway in the kitchen goes off into the distance, and that is where Courtney comes from. As she opens the door with one of her arms, she's not looking as to what's in the fridge because she's still talking to Valerie, who's in front of her.
It's purely for the audience.
It's purely for the shot, and the camera sees what is inside the fridge, which is Kim, but Courtney doesn't see it. And this happens twice.
It's great because when you're looking at it, Kim's got her hand somewhere off to the top.
Yeah.
And you know that she's holding on to something. So whenever the fridge closes, you know she's pulling herself up.
Yeah.
And she does it twice. She does it brilliantly. But this is where, and I'm proud that I spotted this, and IMDb clearly did not. Because if you look at Kim when she's in the fridge, because obviously your focus is supposed to be on the conversation happening between the girls. It's kind of like that that conversation we had a little while ago, where them talking is distracting you from, like the scene we did a minute ago. It's the two girls talking in the bedroom, which you're supposed to be focusing on, but you're not. It's just background
focus on what's behind. Yeah.
And if you look at Kim when she's in the fridge, when the fridge is open, she's lying there. If you look down to where the knife is sticking out, her eyes are wide open, but she is breathing very hardly. She's breathing very hard.
Right. I've got my tablet. Yep. I've got the film up. I am live, having a little look here. Right. There we go. You can see. So you can see the shot.
Yep. So look at Kim when she opens the fridge and look at her body where the knife sticks out. You can see her breathing. Can you see it?
I think so. I'm going to wait for the second opening.
Yeah. Wait for the second opening. It's either the first or the second, but she is breathing because the knife is going up and down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does move. It does move. Yeah. Yep. Fantastic.
And it's just one of those really funny slapstick moments where they do it twice, and then after the second time they're like, "Okay, right, let's leave." It's like, "Yeah, okay." And Val's like, "Courtney, no, come on." Like, "No, I'm gonna open the fridge one last time." And on the third time that she goes, "Oh my god, there's a dead person in the fridge," and that's when they run and Val does a really like timid warning to Courtney when she's hiding in the cellar. It's like, "Courtney, run!"
Yeah, because Courtney goes off first after seeing Kim's body. Then Valerie goes to see what she's screamed at. She sees Kim, and then she runs. But because she's in theory behind Courtney, she then spots Russ coming down the stairs, his shadow. So she divulges. I'm not letting you off on that one. Divulges to the basement. So she locks us. She kind of shuts herself in the basement. Now this is when. Go on. Sorry, go on.
There's a great cliche that's coming up with Val in a second when she's got the rack of tools in front of her.
Oh, it's so good.
It's the which weapon do I choose? Yeah. It's like, I've got the drill. Nah. The hammer. Nah. She pulls off all of these. She pulls off like a little drill head. You're like, nah.
Yeah, what am I going to do with this?
What am I going to do? And then she picks up the circular saw and it's like, yes. God. Which, of course, is corded.
Of course it is.
Yeah. And of course she gets halfway up the steps, she gets yanked back down.
That was
surprised
hilarious.
She didn't cut herself. It was hilarious. And then she finds Jason's machete. And I was like, the person who owns this house has such an impressive array of weaponry in their basement. It's great. And she chooses, Jason's machete because let's face it, machete's the way to go.
Why would you have a machete just up there? What do you need that for?
The thing is, machetes are only used if you're in the jungle, and you're cutting down really thick.
The bush, shall we say?
Although, to be fair, let's be honest, there's a scene that comes up where this machete clearly is, mystical shit for what it does.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I took a note about this. Yep. We'll get to that because that annoyed me.
Cool. Because the other thing I noticed throughout the whole film is this dude is using this power drill like on a regular basis. He's really running it ragged. And I sat there going, how much power does this thing have? It must have a battery that lasts for days because there is no way it's still going.
No. And the fact that means it must have been fully charged when he picked it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In that van, yeah.
Now, this is actually the point where Coach turns up. She's wondering what's going on.
Yes.
Now, but before she turns up, Russ moves the pizza boy and decides to have a
Oh,
nap on
yeah.
the floor, the living room.
Oh, it's
He
great.
decides to get the blanket, have a nap on the floor, and then the coach turns up, and they have a little tussle.
He looks so happy as well.
He does.
He's just
He
like,
looks very happy.
He's,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna have a nap with my power gel.
You know, I've had a hard day. Okay,
It's
I've had
hard
a
killing
hard
people.
These damn kids. I've had a hard day. I'm gonna need a nap in this nice living room. And when the coach turns up, she tries to fight back. This bit annoyed me a bit though, because when she is fighting back, she's using I think it's like a fire poker.
Oh, fire poker, yeah.
Yeah, she gets him down, and then Trish appears with a knife and stabs Russ, but she instantly pulls Trish away in a sort of, no, Trish, don't do that. But she pays the price by getting gutted by Russ and his drill.
I mean,
why are you pulling her away?
I'm fairly certain the angle that Trish stabs him in, fairly certain she probably severed his spinal cord, because that thing goes
in the back.
like, it goes perpendicular to his spine, and I'm like, that man should not be able to walk. But there you go.
Yeah,
during that scene, I did think that when the coach was getting near to Russ under the carpet, she was going to reach out from under the sofa where she's hiding to try and stop her, but obviously not. And I was like,
she just let her go along with it.
Oh yeah, she just lets her go along with it. I mean, for all of her, let's go raid the house, she's a bit more like, oh no, I'm gonna stay under the couch. I'm gonna die.
Yeah. So the coach doesn't really last too long, to be fair, and this is where we're kind of down to the last three girls. Trish, Courtney,
Trish,
and
Val,
Valerie.
and Courtney.
Yeah.
This is also where the machete gets its magical powers, because my note for this was simply, nope, that would not happen in the slightest.
Yeah.
There's two.
Oh!
Dueling. Oh, yep.
Just remember what you mentioned when we were talking about Russ at the beginning of the podcast. He does. This is where he speaks. This is where he's got like a little monologue.
Oh yes, he does.
I think he says you're so pretty. He says I love you, and his eyes are bugging out. He's not blinking. He's just staring. His big creepy smile.
Do you know how much it takes for someone to do this? Would you love them? It's like Trish is just sitting there going, "What? Leave me alone."
It's really good facial expressions from him. That's what I love about this film. He is just a pure psycho who has escaped from prison. That's it.
Yes.
That is it. There's no agenda. He's just nuts.
He's just nuts, yeah.
It's simple.
And it works. The whole of this film, it doesn't try to be anything it's not. It knows what it knows it's not going to compete with the big boys of the slashers.
Yeah.
But they set out like, let's make a simple slasher film, give it a simple killer, simple, nice, cannon fodder, we'll call them, and then we'll get the good final girls in. Done. And it works. I mean, it's not the greatest slasher film ever. It's not the worst.
No, it's highly underrated.
Something you can enjoy.
Yeah.
If you're looking for just something casual to watch.
Now here we go.
We got another.
Here we go. The
is this the note scene? Yeah.
This is the magical machete we are referring to.
Oh god.
Here we go. He holds up his drill, and she drops right through it. Now,
no, it just wouldn't happen.
That drill bit is probably about 70 centimeters long, probably about just under a meter, maybe long.
Yeah,
less
probably the length of your arm, I would say.
Your forearm.
Your forearm, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably about 20 mil thick.
Yes. Well, it goes through concrete.
Yeah, 20 to 30 mil. It's a big drill bit. This, as Bricktop would say, it goes through bone like butter.
Yes.
It just goes through. She just slices this drill bit in half.
Just tings it off. Again, it's not an algorithm. It's an allusion to the dude, using his power drill as his knob.
Yeah. And
this is the final girl's way of chopping it down to size, shall we say.
Top of their
Although
pee-pee.
she goes ham on Russ. I mean, she
Oh my God,
destroys
yeah.
his hand. She
Yeah.
lops it to pieces as he's just standing there screaming his head off as he's having his hand lopped off.
This is outside in the back garden by the pool. By their
This is
pool.
also where there's that funny thunderstorm clap that I mentioned.
The
The wrong
mistake.
audio.
Yes.
Yes. It's such a... The ending scene is a weird one because Trish again does her slow-mo run-in
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
power home this knife. Actually, that before? No, sorry. So Val chops
So he gets
Russ's hands off.
She chops the drill.
I think she slashes him in the stomach.
She then chops his hand off.
Yeah.
She slices his gut, which makes him fall into the pool.
That was it.
Then I believe Courtney comes out, like, oh, Valerie.
Yeah.
And we see Russ climb out of the pool and go on the attack again. That is when Trish comes out, I believe.
That was it,
him.
yes.
But
slow-mo stab.
That still doesn't finish him off.
No, well, wouldn't do, would it?
No.
You've still got to... I can't remember how Val gets the machete. I think she's got it nearby.
It's on the ground.
Trish stabs him. He gets up. And then I think there's a bit of a kerfuffle. Yeah. And then he runs towards Val. And she just launches this machete up right into his gut. And impales him through his stomach. He lands right on her. And that's it. He's out for the count. He's dead. This is the weird bit that I mentioned earlier. You have Courtney that does a weird scream. Then Val does. Then it goes to Trish who does. Which then goes to Val crying, back to Trish crying, back to Courtney doing this weird sort of stony eye stare. It's like, oh, we killed a dude.
Yeah, this was weird, guys. Whoa.
This is weird, guys. Oh, I want to know who called the police because you can hear them in the background.
Yeah, there it is again.
Again, you're like, no one called the police here. So, okay.
We Friday the 13th, part 1, I brought this up right at the end.
Yes.
We were saying, how did the police just turn up? They're in the middle of nowhere. No one would know this.
Well, no, we did figure that out.
Did we?
Because one of the camp counselors met the sheriff officer in the storm, and he said, if I don't hear from you, I'll come back to find you.
Yes,
so that's how that one happened.
That's explained. But
this one is not explained. No.
It's quite... I mean, it's a definitive ending.
It is, because that's where the film ends. It's as soon as you see Trish crying, the credits roll, and that's it. It's
definitive and bleak.
The film is concluded, but there's no sort of, well, what happened? What do the survivors do after this?
No,
there's none of that.
No,
it's just, well, it's kind of mentioned in the second film, very briefly.
Don't even.
You got to admit though, the posters for the Slumber Party Massacre are just on fire.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They 80s hammed it up to, well, I don't know what levels, but it was high levels. But when I was mentioning the Daft team mentality, the biggest moment for me that happened is after the pizza guy is after they discovered the pizza guy's dead and he falls in the house, and they bring him in and they close the door, and then they're all discussing like, well, what should we do? And I was sitting there watching this film going, you are literally in a house in a suburb surrounded by houses.
Yeah.
Just go into the street and scream, someone has been murdered. There's a dead guy in your house. Guaranteed your neighbors are going to come out the houses going, what on earth is happening?
I think the only mentality you'd have with that is, these sort of suburban houses in America are not like, I don't know, our terrace house where you open the door and you're on the pathway. You're on the street. Something like that. These houses, you've got a good 30 foot of a pathway leading maybe through some bushes. They could be thinking, oh, is he hiding in the bush? We can't go, so he could jump on us. It's dark. We can't see.
That's like hiding in that bush, actually, doesn't he? If you think about it.
He does hide in the bush. We know that. They don't.
No, it's true. You get some really great shots of him. It's just his head sort of watching them pass backwards. It's really good. I like the moment. I like the little line though from, I believe it's Jeff. It's when he gets given the knife before he goes out, and Trish is like, "Oh, you got a knife to protect yourself," and he goes, "Oh, I wish I'd stay in the Cub Scouts so I can learn how to use this." And it's like, "It's a knife, man. It's like
It's
just
sharp.
stick it in
That's
them.
all you need to
It's sharp.
just
That's all you have to do
stab.
is just stick it in them." Oh,
I love this film.
it
I
is.
love
It's
this
a
film.
great.
I was so
It's just a-
glad because we wanted to we were going to do our review half year in review. We're going to do it next episode, and
We will.
only because we haven't done our homework. And I messaged you going,
Yeah.
let's just do something to fill this episode. And I was so happy when you mentioned this because it's not what I expected you to say. I don't know what I expected you to say, but it wasn't this. I was like, yes, we'll do that. That's brilliant. I can't wait to discuss it because I knew this discussion would be great.
It's a great film. I mean, I want to do the second one. I think we have to.
I don't know how I can even. It doesn't make sense. The film doesn't make sense.
Well, exactly. I don't really want to say what I think because it might.
Okay. I'll be down for doing it. I'll be down for doing it, but we have to spread our good and bad films out. We've just had two good films. We did Freddy vs. Jason, and then next week we're going to do.
Did you just say that? Did you just call that a good film?
No. We had Freddy vs. Jason. Then we've had two good films. We had Nightmare on Elm Street, and now we've had Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were referring to the
No, don't be silly. And then next week we're doing our like a half year in review.
Oh, it's gonna be great, that one.
So we may need to take it down a notch.
Okay, so we need to. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find a really bad film for after next week.
What, like Slumber Party Massacre 2?
You know what? Let's decide this now, shall we? Let me.
Yeah, why not? Let's decide this now.
Horror film ever.
Worst horror film ever made? Is it Troll 2?
It probably is. So. Oh, come on.
I mean, there's plenty of DVDs that are in Poundland that are like.
Or we could go to CEX and find the worst horror film for £1.
Oh, that's a big pound shelf.
Apparently, according to Tomato Meter, the worst horror movie of all time is One Missed Call. It has 0% rating.
One Missed Call.
One Missed Call. I've seen it looks rubbish.
I mean, how the hell do we get traction on that on the internet on hashtags and stuff?
Troll 2, there you go. You got Troll 2. Yeah, that's appeared. Oh my god, that just looks horrible. Oh, Deathbed. Oh my god, we have to review Deathbed.
I know you love your shitty horror film.
It's the giant spider invasion. Oh, The Happening. Yeah,
okay,
pretty crap.
Let's say then so next week we'll be doing the half year review. Week after that, we are going to do one of the shittiest horror films around. We haven't. Let's decide on it soon, but we'll go bottom of the barrel.
We'll decide on it out of episodes, so it can be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, worse than anything you can imagine.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. We'll go right down to the bottom of the barrel, and then we'll bring it back up the week after to something a bit more better. Okay.
Oh yes.
But all in all, this film's great. I think this was great. I
is.
really enjoyed discussing this. This is brilliant. I love it.
It's quite a nice introduction actually to slashers if you think about it.
Yeah, I'd say so. You can get a good copy of it. I think it's great little introduction.
Well, if you've got Shudder, it's on Shudder.
Yeah.
Do check it out. Or actually, you don't even need Shudder. It's on YouTube. There you go.
If you know how to use the internet and YouTube,
you can get it.
I think it may have been like the 5th result. And if you're looking for the right one, it's about, like you said, an hour and 13. So look at the timestamp and you'll see it.
It's the Slumber Party, or type in the Slumber Party Massacre 1982 because you will find the right one then.
The word "the" is very important at the beginning. It is,
yes.
And the sequel, maybe somewhere down the line we'll discuss it, but my god, it's batshit and crazy and doesn't make sense.
We got so many massacre films to do. We got the Slumber Party Massacre. We've got the Cheerleader Massacre. I know.
Think about all the sequels in all the franchises we're going to need to go through. Yeah. We're endless. It's infinity.
Oh, yeah.
Infinity.
Oh, so this podcast is never going to go away then. Yes. You're so looking like, oh god, just endless episodes on Slumber Party Massacre sequels.
Oh my god. Anyway, next week, half year review. We need to go do our homework, which we are going to do. You're going to be watching
do some of
X,
mine now.
and I'm going to watch The Sadness, and we're both going to be watching
Yep.
The Black Phone at some point, and we will
Yes.
discuss all that and all the other good stuff from this year, and probably the bad stuff next week.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. So, you can find this podcast, The Dreadcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon/Audible, Podbean, and YouTube. But the YouTube situation, just search The Dreadcast and you'll find it. It may not be up to date for a while, but we're sorting that out.
It's in the process.
That's in the process. And yourself, where can your social? We got socials. Where can you find?
We
us?
do. We have socials. We have Twitter. You can find me at Tainted Souls on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find the Dreadcast on TikTok if you just search for the _Dreadcast. I believe that's what it is. Look for the logo, and you'll find us there. You can also find us in the Gmail, the Dreadcastpodcast at gmail.com. Email us. Write to us. Say hi. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you think we might
Sign us up
improve
to
upon.
some spam websites, because then we know at least people are doing something with it.
Yeah, find us a really shit horror film so we can
Yes.
watch it and review it.
Yeah.
And some great horror films as well.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
What about yourself?
Tomzilla on Twitch and
Mm.
Twitter, and that is TOMZIAA. Wait, no, it's not Tomzilla. It's Tomzilla versus.
Part
I got
Tom,
it wrong.
part
I got it
Godzilla.
wrong. Tomzilla, like
versus?
Godzilla, versus VS at the end. Yes, I'm rebranding.
yes.
Tomzilla versus.
Oh.
And the Dreadcast on Instagram. The _Dreadcast on Instagram, where you can find all the updates to the new episodes and what's happening and all that jazz.
Nice.
So, until next week,
Stay spooky.
you changed
What?
it.
No, that's how it's always been stay spooky.
Stay creepy.
Oh, it's stay creepy. Oops.
Stay creepy.